critical focus channel.
So I thought long and hard about doing a sort of tier list video for Underworlds 2.0, but I always sort of dread doing those because it's so contentious, and I think for me personally it's not that interesting. But people love that kind of stuff, but in the end I still opted against it. But I did want to do something along the same line, but more geared towards my own interests. For previous seasons and iterations of Warhammer Underworlds, I've been doing the most enjoyable Warband series, and it had some decent success, so I figured I will do one for the current state of Underworlds 2.0 for the sort of tournament legal Warbands. With the massive caveat that I really haven't played everything enough to give sort of a balanced, fair view on it. But yeah, these things are always going to be subjective anyway. So yeah, take it for what it is. Let's then do these legal warbands in Underworlds 2.0 as of what we have today. A shit ton of revamped warbands are of course coming our way. I don't know personally when they will come, so don't pressure me on that. So this video will probably be outdated very soon, but yeah, I mean, the warbands we have will probably stick around anyway. So I'm not going to do all of the warbands in this video. I'm going to do the Chaos faction warbands, and I'm going to start from the bottom with what I think is the least enjoyable. So this is not a tier list in terms of strengths, although these things might sort of touch upon each other. The bottom scrappers here will be Squitch, one of my favorite warbands as of old, but they were done dirty first in their second iteration and now again in the second edition. And yeah, they simply lack punch. They're not really fun. They're not especially good. They don't really have a thematic war scroll even, and just generally lost tons of character. Gone are the days of the hungering Skaven going berserk with the black hunger, or the festering Skaven hitting way above his station with the festering dagger. Next up, I'm gonna put the Gardeners, a popular competitive warband, so maybe a very sort of controversial pick here. But for me, I really dislike the models. First up, they are beyond ugly, especially the leader, and their whole play style with the sort of you don't get to have fun. I don't really like that. I much prefer a warband that allows for a more open gaming experience. Next up, I'm gonna put Drom. They've lost a significant amount of power from totally bonkers to now simply feeling sort of sad, and their war scroll abilities have gone from overpowered to, in some cases, almost unusable. That paired with my relative dislike for sort of elite warbands will have them hugging this fairly low position. Ephelim next. I like recursion warbands generally in this sort of warband size as well, but they just feel a bit meh from how they fared before, especially with how weak ranged attacks are now and how easy it is to alpha strike the leader, which will have the warband break down very easily. Pair that with my relative dislike for the models. I much prefer the aesthetic of Eyes of the Nine when it comes to Tzeentch, and they will sit at this middle sort of position at the Chaos pool here for me. Kagra, they have a lot going for them, although I miss the old sort of built-in feud between the two sisters, which got totally lost with the new war scroll. I would have liked a similar mechanic to that of Biteclaw Swarm, I guess, with sort of if Kagra dies, Sarsha becomes the leader and gets buffed up a bit. And yeah, previously it was a sort of a viable playstyle to sort of kamikaze alpha strike with the leader, to have her go out in a blaze of glory, to then make the other sister into the leader with some ploys or stuff like that. Still, I really like the models. They are very good, and their war scroll abilities are pretty much all good value as well. And they no longer suffer from the conflict between holding treasure tokens and desecrating them, which is very welcome. Thricefold Discord next. A rare thing for me to put a 3-man warband this high, but I think they are a lot of fun to play. All the fighters offer quite different things. The different riders for the different fighters here are all very useful and strong as well. I think they are even more fun with the nerfs of as playing something almost abusive never really tickled my fancy. Dread Pageant will take the next position. So Slaanesh Warbands here back to back. An old favorite of mine. They were always a bit tricky to master, and although I have been quite negative of their new sort of iteration in 2nd edition, I still think a couple of the War Scroll abilities could have reflected their sort of pain-loving nature better and sort of used some really good old ploy cards and stuff. But I have sort of seen the light when it comes to them, and I can see their appeal. I really dig the whole mortal side of Slaanesh aesthetic, and managing these wound counters is a fun little side game. They kept the main theme of their old Inspire condition, but it's now made quite a bit less tricky to get there, albeit not too trivial. Kamadoros Blades will come next. These guys had a very rough reception, but I both loved painting them and also taking them to the table. The sort of glass cannon aggro playstyle always was a favorite of mine, and the double-edged sword with a push at the start of every round is really fun as well. Me likey. Lastly, and at the top of the table of the current Chaos faction pool, maybe the Hellsmiths will topple them over soon, comes Sikit's Tunnel Pack. Fast, hard-hitting, versatile, and with a totally awesome bomb rat. This warband ticks a lot of my boxes. A couple of high-risk, high-reward War Scroll abilities is also very fitting for this faction. Models looks awesome, fun, fast, random rats. What's not to love, right? That's it. A short snappy video of my most enjoyable warbands from the Chaos faction. I will return next time with the warbands inside the Death faction, so look out for that one. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon again. Bye. Lastly, a big shout out to all my members that help support my content and makes it so much easier for me to produce multiple videos on a weekly basis. Members do get access to the member Discord, get to influence the content, get early access to a ton of videos, as well as get featured in the monthly painting showcase if they want. Member or not, I dearly appreciate the like, the comment and the subscription.